Okay, yo, so listen, for all you MacBook Pro fans who were expecting a big refresh, well, this is the one for you, apparently. For any of you well versed in the tech world, or if you just happen to view my prior video, the entry base MacBook Pro 13-inch, the one that cost $12.99, barely received any kind of upgrade. I wouldn't even consider it an S upgrade or anything. It was just replaced with the Scissor style keyboard and double the base storage. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be ungrateful, but you just have no idea how long people have been waiting for the ultra coveted, highly rumored redesign to the 13-inch. But that unfortunately didn't happen. So in order for this to feel like a true upgrade, you must pony up more cash and go for the 4 USB-C model that at minimum will cost you $1,800 in the US of A. That's going to get you the real upgrade, including those newer 10th gen chips. But do they really make that big of a difference? Should you really pay upwards of $500 or more for this model as opposed to the baseline? Stay tuned, as later I will put up the baseline model versus this $1,800 model and compare and contrast while also taking benchmarks and observing temperature. But for today's video, we'll mostly look at what's new, what has changed, and how those changes position this laptop in the MacBook lineup. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So I wasn't going to do an unboxing for this MacBook Pro as it is entirely 100% identical to the baseline model that I reviewed earlier. So if you truly want to see this unboxed, click the card at the top right, but for now, I'm just going to fast forward. You get your basic stuff like your quick start guide, USB-C to USB-C charging cable, and power brick, and of course your new MacBook Pro. So okay, let's dissect this thing. At first glance, it's like, yo, what gives? It looks exactly the same. Well, guess what? You'd be correct, my friend. No, this is sadly not the 14-inch redesign we were all hoping for, but I'll tell you one thing. This is certainly a more substantial upgrade versus the baseline model that essentially just got a new keyboard and double starting storage. Like, Apple really couldn't throw anything else in there, that's it. But at least for this device, much of the improvements are found under the hood because on the exterior, aside from the new keyboard, the hardware is largely the same. Same chassis, same design, same color options being space gray and silver, you get the point. Although, the body of the MacBook Pro did get slightly thicker, but barely, like not even a full millimeter thicker. So listen, this more expensive model here is going to sport those newer 10th gen chips. There has been a lot of debate over whether the 8th gen chips and the 10th gen processors truly make a difference. In truth, I mean, looking at raw numbers, not really. I mean, take a look at these Geekbench scores. You know, for an extra $500, I would have hoped I'd get bigger gains, but sadly, at least on Geekbench, we see not so stellar improvements. Of course, that's only one test, and that's not even looking at the temperature to see whether any of these two systems here throttle or not. I'm really interested to see how the 8th gen chips compare to the 10th gen ones in a future benchmarking video, so definitely stay tuned for that one. Again, we do not get a dedicated graphics card like we do for the 16-inch, but I suspect that is simply because of size limitations and also, of course, cost. And that's one of the points of controversy as why Apple didn't update the baseline model with the newer, more modern 10th gen chips. Apparently, the 10th gen chips are just way more expensive for some reason, and apparently it's all Intel's fault and not Apple's. Look, I don't know who here is flexing, but for the one time, Apple, could you have done your loyal fan base a solid? These are tough times, man. Historic times. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Sorry, I'm still not over the baseline not having the 10th gen chips, but I mean, I guess I see the reasoning. It increased that already super expensive entry price of $12.99 to levels that would seriously turn off a lot of people. I mean, really, the upgrades to this machine are minor as a whole, but when put up against the baseline upgrades, I mean, it makes it seem like the $17.99 model is a much better value. And I'm not sure if Apple was purposeful in doing that, because I have always considered the baseline baseline model to kind of be a whole different product in a way. It's definitely meant for a different demographic of people for sure, but let's just take a look at the Apple website to see what else we get in the 2020 version of this laptop here. So if we head over and want to configure our MacBook Pro 13-inch, the model with the 4 USB-C ports, we can see that we can trick this bad boy up to a 2.3 GHz quad-core i7, and it is a 10th gen chip. It will set you back $200, but I think it is a worthy upgrade for sure depending on your usage. We then also show much superior RAM on this more expensive model, now having a clock speed of 3733 MHz, and comes with a base 16 GB, or for $400 more, you can opt for 32 GB of LPDDR4X memory, much improved from the previous LPDDR3. Lastly, our base storage comes in at 512 GB, which should be plenty for most people, especially if you use Apple's iCloud services like I do. It's a nice sweet spot. It can be maxed out though to a whopping 4 TB of ultra fast SSD storage, but it'll cost you a pretty penny. $1,200 for that upgrade to be exact. So at that point, why not consider a 16-inch Pro? But Juan, is anything else new? I think that's basically it, or at least those are the big ones. Of course, you do get the new Scissor style keyboard, which is great. That is a really big deal. No matter which model MacBook you get today in 2020, the Air, the 13-inch Pro, or the 16-inch Pro, all models will now come included with the Scissor style keys, and let me tell you, that is a huge sigh of relief. Back when Apple tried shoving the butterfly keys down our throats, it was always tricky making a recommendation since everybody knew those keys were extremely prone to failure. Sometimes a tiny speck of dust getting trapped in there would do it to you. It was like the butterfly keyboard was a glass cannon. Sure, it made the computers lightweight and ultra thin, but at what cost? So now, rest assured, any new MacBook bought in 2020 from the Apple Store will have the Scissor style keys. But honestly, this is your typical spec bump for the 13-inch model. It's kind of a shame because I was looking forward to the 14-inch redesign so much. You have no idea. This form factor is the best. It's lightweight, portable, and has tremendous potential under the hood, depending on your configuration. One thing is for sure though, now the higher spec 4 USB-C model is a much better choice for professionals. Of course, this video was mainly just an unboxing and quick review going over what's changed, but I think the real question is, so like, which MacBook is right for me though? And in a way, Apple now has made it harder for people to choose, because now the 13-inch base model isn't that much different from the Air. So now that demographic of people is going to have a harder choice choosing between a Pro and an Air. And on the other hand, those with moderate to heavy workloads now have this beauty. The same 13-inch MacBook Pro we have all grown to love in that super lightweight and compact power, now with even more potential. As a matter of fact, the 13-inch can now be configured and maxed out to $3,600 USD. While I wouldn't recommend that configuration per se, the maxed out configuration of this machine has tremendous potential and would make a perfect companion for any young professional on the rise. Really for me, what sells me on this computer is the form factor. It's the best of both worlds. It's lightweight and portable like the Air, but unlike the Air, packs in much more power under the hood. On the other hand, it is less powerful than the mighty 16-inch, but has the advantage of it being way more portable. And trust me guys, carrying around a 16-inch Pro in my tech bag while traveling is super tedious, since the 16-inch is just so big and bulky. So here's my initial impressions of this 13-inch MacBook Pro with 4 USB-C ports. I think this computer is terrific for any person that has ambition and drive to create content on their Mac. Whether an aspiring music creator, producer, film fanatic, video editor, photo editor, or anything else in between, this model of the MacBook Pro is going to be your best friend. Your display is the same 13-inch Retina display that is brighter as compared to the Air for those occasions when you're working outdoors. Our improved Scissor Magic Keyboard allows you to type away to your heart's content on a keyboard with actual travel, and a keyboard that is very responsive and reliable. You get 4 USB-C ports so that you can hook up any dongles, any external GPUs, or heck, even connect this to an external display to drive all that workflow. The 4 USB-C model 13-inch Pro is a fantastic option for any person looking to do some serious work, especially opting for that i7 with 32 gigabytes of RAM. Forget about it. It's a shame we don't have a dedicated graphics card, but I guess that's why the 16-inch exists. Now I know what you're asking yourself, well, which model is the right one for me, 13-inch or 16-inch? How much RAM? You know, that's the beauty of this channel and tech in general. For the most part with Apple computers, there's a high degree of customization when it comes to specs. At the time of purchase on Apple.com, you can opt for more storage or maybe more RAM, or perhaps opt for an i7 over an i5. I know the decision can be daunting, especially when almost dropping $2,000 on a laptop. So don't worry guys, I'm here to help. My DMs are open for any who still have questions as to which model you should get. I love that I can interact with you guys on social media to get a better idea at your specific use case. I try to help you guys out as best I can, and do not worry, there is still a bunch of MacBook content I have planned for you guys. Topics like 16-inch versus 13-inch. Air versus base 13-inch Pro. So feel free to shoot me a DM if you're having a tough time. I will try my best to reply as soon as possible, but I do get a bit busy at times, so please be patient and hit that subscribe button with bells for future tech content just like this. But what do you think? What do you think about the higher price model getting special treatment over the baseline model? Does this now differentiate the two models even more, and will this become a standard across the 13-inch line from here on out? I for one was utterly disappointed at no 14-inch redesign, but this higher spec model does show some promise. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed that super quick unboxing and review. For the most part, this upgrade was more of a spec bump more than anything. Apple now solidified the scissor keys across their entire MacBook lineup, which is always a plus, and I'm sure no one can deny that that is a step in the right direction. Until it happens, I'll still be holding my breath for a 14-inch Pro with modern bezels and that bigger display. And one last thing before I go. For the love of God, Apple, a 720p webcam? Still? Are you serious? Alright, for all this time guys, I'll catch you on later, and I hope to catch you on my future videos testing all of these MacBooks out and also creating a very nice buying guide for y'all. As always, take care of yourselves and each other.